I'll admit I was a horrible failure in internet marketing for years, Billy. It was left and right. I would do horrible because I made awesome products, but I failed at the one important side of IM for several years, the marketing side.
That's amazing.
I know it sounds silly. I'm a top marketer now.
Right, there you go.
But you know how I became good? Because I screwed up for so many years.
Failing forward.
Failing forward, and I got frustrated as I would buy other marketers' products and almost feel ripped off. And I thought, wow, my products are so much better. How are these guys selling more? And I realized that I was tripping over my brains a little bit too much, so was Rob. We overplanned and we overcompensated and just overanalyzed our products before we ever brought them to market. By the time we brought them to market, well, it was a great product, but not a great front end. And we noticed the other marketers had a great front end, but not always a great product. Over the past 2 years, Rob and I looked real close at our business and said, wait a second. All we need to do is make sure that the marketing matches the message, and it worked. We took all these years where we failed, almost 15 years of failing, before we realized what we're really doing right.
So you had your aha moment.
The aha moment
There
was
you
just
go.
a couple years ago.
Cool.
I know it sounds crazy, and it's like, how were these Williger brothers so crazy that they hung on tenaciously for almost 15 years? I kid you not, Rob Williger and I started our first internet marketing company in 1992 called Jiffy Publishers Creative Marketing Solutions.
So that was you.
That was us. We had a whole plan for getting people on the web back in the early 90s. We put all our money into it, and it failed. And we kept trying. We kept coming back. We knew this was our destiny.
Right.
But that idea was way ahead of its time. So now when we make products, they tend to take off really well because we got a pretty good recipe for it. Quality information, multiple ways for people to learn, sometimes ebooks, sometimes audio, sometimes video, a network of others who can review the products and help promote it out, effective marketing through some great graphic artists, and I think we've cracked all the codes of search engine optimization, which is important to make sure it's in front of the audience.
Well, let me ask you a question, Darren, before we get out of time here. To actually do internet marketing, you have to have a market. So you busted the code on getting a market, didn't you?
Definitely. Billy, just like yourself, I've been building up my clientele through Twitter, through Facebook, but it's not the same.
I heard you had more than several million followers. Is that right?
Well, I think it's the first time this is being shared with the public, but it is. And it's not just on one account. I'm not Barack or Ashton or any of those people, but I'm Darren Williger. I'm Williger. I'm Homemade Wine. I'm Regillo. The reason for the multiple accounts is actually the story of how I fell forward into Twitter success. So I first joined Twitter because my brother turned me on to it. That's always been our relationship. He found the cool technology and I'd find a way to apply it towards business. Very symbiotic. So what happened with Twitter when I joined a second time, we'll get into that other story.
There's another story
there.
But
as far as the second time, I jumped onto Twitter and I made several accounts. I made an account called Regillo for my business. I made one called Williger, which was actually my other business, is Williger Inc. But I'll tell you how it became my personal account. Darren Williger was my personal. I had another one called Top Salesmaker. I had one about guitar, meditation, etc.
So you're talking about niche marketing.
Correct.
There you go.
I almost accidentally stumbled into it, but Billy, here's the best part of how I found my voice. I screwed up. And the story of my life is I have something crazy happens and I almost fall forward. So I went on to my Williger account one day and I made a comment about selling for Dell. And people said, you used to work with Dell. And I said, wow, I screwed up. That was supposed to be under Top Salesmaker. But true to form, I didn't delete the tweet. I acknowledged my fault, but that fault was admirable. People said, no, tell more. It must have been about 3 weeks later that I went under Williger again and put, I'm working on a Zinfandel in my kitchen. I said, you make wine?
Wow, you make wine?
Yeah, I think you were one of the first people who said you make wine.
I didn't know you make wine.
That's interesting. Do tell.
In your kitchen.
In the kitchen. So Williger, which was meant to be protecting Williger Inc., ended up being my be-all, end-all Darren. Now, what happened as a result of this, Billy, was phenomenal. You'll see my bio now kind of describes a little bit of all the different accounts that received the most publicity, but the phenomenon wasn't as much that I connected with a mass audience and was able to pull in all these niche markets. That's huge. But could I share with you what really hits home?
Please do.
It allowed Darren to be Darren a little more.
Hey, that's awesome.
So, you know when you first introduce like the girlfriend of the parents, or you introduce like your, or the friends to the family, it's all these different relationships.
You know, it's important to bring that authenticity to it, isn't it?
It really is.
To be Darren.
To be Darren. Yeah. So I had 5 voices. I had Darren, the corporate sales guy, Darren, the silly comedy guy, Darren, the boyfriend, Darren, the dad, Darren, the friend, Darren, the family. And it was all these different Darrens. It was that awkwardness when you'd first introduce your worlds.
Sure.
Now, since Twitter and since I embraced that full transparency, and since Williger is where I just kind of talk about everything from sushi to social to sales, it allowed me to be me. My voice is mine again. So after 20 years of corporate grooming of this is how you talk when you're doing business, and this is how you play, I'm me.
You can be you everywhere.
What I learned too was professionally, people connected with me more frequently when I shared more personally.
Right.
Like many others, I feared the opposite. And I remember, I'm not going to name the client, but it was last year that I started making silly videos just to have fun. And I walked into a very large client to talk to them about a proposal we're bringing in. And I see a group of guys looking at their iPhone, giggling at a video I made. I thought, I am screwed.
Yeah.
And I said, I guess I blew this opportunity. I said, no, you got a whole 90 minutes to do that after this.
After they watched your video.
I said, are you going to take me seriously in the meeting after seeing the video? They said, oh, wow, yes, your guitar playing sucks. But you were in tune and you committed to it. And you know what? We play guitar too, and we make videos, and you kind of showed us you're one of us. Darren, you got a whole 90 minutes to either make or break this presentation. So Billy, during the presentation, I looked to them for validation throughout to kind of get a sense of how things are going.
Right.
It allowed me to really hit a home run. I really feared that being myself and after the corporate grooming was going to be something that prohibited me professionally. No, not at all. It enabled more connections.
Hey man, look, I appreciate you sharing all of that. Give us a nugget to leave with.
A nugget to leave with.
Internet marketing and social. Pull it out, man.
Social media allows your business. I don't know, what are we going to say here? I got it, Billy. I got it.
Do it.
Social media helps your business.
There you go.
HELPS is my acronym for humanize, engage, listen, promote, and sell.
That's it.
Does that bring it home, brother?
Brings it home. This is Darren Williger, at Williger. And what is your winemaking?
My winemaking is homemadewine.com.
Homemadewine.com.
And this is Billy Beatty, who's at Billy Beatty, but it's BILLEBATY. And you can find his website at billyblue.com.
There you go, and we'll see you online.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace out.